Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. Why did I read these two? So I read volume 1 and 2 of Body by Aomi Mori, and I really like Aomi Mori. This is her first manga published in English. She has a really sweet way of interacting with fans. She clearly loves the manga industry, and she's constantly like dropping the names of interesting manga artists for me to check out. She loves Shonen Jump, which is just kind of cool to me because this is so not Shonen Jump. But I'm done with Body. I've read two manga this year where my review for them was Be Gone Thought, and I just threw them right in the donation, not the donation bin, in the library return bin. I'd be trouble if I was donating library books. So I'm not ready to say Be Gone Thought to Body. I'm just ready to say goodbye to Body. I love Aomi Mori. I think she's great. I just don't want to read any more of Body, or I'm going to start roasting it. And I don't want to roast Aomi Mori because I like her. So what's the problem with Body overall? The overall problem is it's too soap opera-y. So the only proper way to enjoy this review is you've got to go find yourself an organ. Not a church organ, but a saloon organ that smells like beer. It's got a stink, and it can't have been tuned for at least 20 years. And then every time I say something dramatic, you've got to play a nice little ba-da-da-da-da-da on it. That's the problem. So in soap operas, bad things happen to the characters for the sake of bad things happening to the characters, of getting you invested. You're not watching an old telenovela because the characters are such interesting character studies of romance and psychology and intelligence. You're watching it because you want to find out if the evil twin brother is going to murder Pedro and sell him into the cartel or something. The president refuses to release Rinosuke until he pays off his million debt. But Ryoko sells herself into the prostitution ring to pay off his debt. But the president was jilted by his lover when he was a young man and was forced to pay her debt by entering himself into the prostitution ring. I'm not kidding. That's what happens in volume 3. So just like crazy things happen to them that they have to overcome the problem, and then the problem gets solved, and then they move on to the next problem, and their romance isn't that psychologically interesting. In contrast to a lot of, in case you just think I hate shoujo and romance, I've read a lot of romances this year that I thought were genuinely sweet or hilarious, or I was invested in like seeing their relationship develop. There are a couple teeny tiny moments like that throughout this, but it's not enough for me to put up with like 300 pages of bad guy of the week. So let's talk about some things I like about Aomi Mori. So she makes little random comments about her editors and her fans, and I really appreciate her love of the fans. I'll find that later, but she talks about her editors giving her reference material for this kind of stuff. This page is just like a summary of what's wrong. Like everything's decompressed, lots of big empty space, and sort of confusing, sort of stilted dialogue. And Ryoko is kind of a clueless girl with her hair messed up, showing how like flustered and like not out of sorts she is. But I don't have much investment with someone. You can have a dumb character where they're actually kind of charming and admirable for other reasons, but she doesn't have much going for her apart from her to make up for her ditziness, which means her ditziness starts getting annoying. So I'm afraid I'm not that good a judge of character. So there was someone, I mean, of course, he had his girlfriend. Oh, what happened? Who knows? Yeah, damn it, he's gonna change the subject. Okay, I'll be right there. Anyway, you were about to say? Sorry, I've got to go. There are whole like chunks of scenes like that where I do know what's going on because I'm actually reading it, but that doesn't help. All of that was wasted verbiage. What is going on? Okay, this is sweet. She talks about reading, Shonen Jump and Naruto and Bobobo. She just loves manga. Her story is she was a junior in college and before she broke into the manga industry. This was sweet. She's reading her letters from fans. This wasn't the one I was thinking of. She talks a little bit about her character and how she draws herself as this because she used to draw it in high school and her friends gave up drawing it. And she says the secret to it is not to draw it too cute. You have to make it look a little off kilter. And this generally is her avatar. Now, sometimes she draws herself more normal, but the little onion teardrop creature is normally her avatar. And I think that's part of the strategy of cementing yourself in the minds of the readers. Like the artist of Full Metal Alchemist draws herself as a cow. The guy who draws for Vampire Diaries, Cirque du Freak, he draws himself as a frog. If you give yourself some sort of memorable thing, it's like it's better to be a cartoon character in the minds of your audience than a real person in the minds of your audience. It's why I'm always sad when someone has a Twitter icon I think is cute, and then I see the real person, and I like if they draw themselves as a cute cartoon fox, I kind of wish they were a cute cartoon fox in real life. It's a neat little way of building up your own brand as an artist. Here it is. She talks about the process of drawing the characters since high school, and I love that. I always felt like the character was very unusual and off-kilter, and then she confirms that in her comments. And I almost think this guy deserves his own little story. He's such an odd little duck. Somewhere, there's a really sweet moment where she drew something for a fan, and I'm not finding it. Maybe it's in the other book. And here she just talks about, like, you know, all the manga she read. She loves manga, and that's one of the things I love about her. And the second thing is she loves her fans. I marked this because it talked about sex, and I was thinking about this a lot. I didn't enjoy Volume 2, and the reason I finished Volume 2 is Ryoko had this really sweet moment where she was working for the host club. A guy was going to, like, take her home and like take her to a hotel, and she said, no, I will not consent to that. And he respected her, and he let her go. So the fact that she was able to demonstrate agency and stand up for herself in that moment, I thought that was a moral point. Because the weird thing about like a host club is it's kind of like a lot of prostitutes are hosts, but maybe it's not necessarily true that all hosts work as prostitutes. So it's a taboo industry. It's like working at Hooters, but you're not necessarily a prostitute. And so that's the seedy side of it. But the fact that she could stand up for herself and say no, refuse to sacrifice her purity like that to me was like a good moral moment. So I stuck with it for a while. And I thought about this whole scene a while because this is the closest thing to them actually having a relationship and having established personalities. So she's liked this boy all her life. She finds out he's in a host club, which is taboo. And the first volume is the best because he's just sort of playing games with her. He's a master of being a romancer of women. So he romances her, and he's just teasing at first. But then he actually falls in love with her. And then she, because she's in love with him, doesn't just want to ditch him when she finds out about his problem. She wants to help him solve his problem. So that's pretty sweet. And now that they're just sort of together and their relationship is becoming normal, she's thinking about sex because they're young, they're in love. She's been in love with him. Her friends are asking about that, and she's just been nervous and awkward about this whole time. And there's this really sweet thing where she's just been passive-aggressive to him, but then she finally kind of like openly discusses what her problem is in a way he understands without expecting him to read her mind. So the thing she's worried about is she's thinking about having sex, and she's not ready for it. She doesn't want to think about that yet. Now, my problem with this is that the moral of the story ends up being him saying, oh, well, we won't have sex until you're ready, which is kind of his way of respecting her, but it's still a kind of sex before marriage. You kids are going to have a baby out of wedlock. You don't want to be doing this. Stop being stupid, kids. Sex is for marriage. But then I sort of stepped back and thought about it, and I thought, is this making a moral point about sex or not? I like that she doesn't want to run into sex. I like that he's respectful of that. I love that the kind of lesson of this is be open and actually communicate what you're worried about. And there is an element of real life to this because we don't live in Victorian England anymore. I love Victorian romances. I love Jane Austen because it was a culture that saw sex as coming after marriage. That meant a lot of the romances were really interesting because they would all come down to personality and learning about the other person. Like when you have sex before marriage, it's like it. How do I say this without it being crass? It's like you're putting something that should be the climax too early. Because sex is amazing, it makes sense for it to come after marriage narratively because marriage is something you do after you've learned about the other person. That's why I never get invested in a romantic comedy where they're having casual sex because, well, what's there left to do? Oh, they're gonna fall in love and get married after having casual sex. But yeah, that was the best part. Why did you put the best part? The whole reason that we have marriage is to convince guys to actually commit to the girls and not just have sex and run away. Spoiler alert. So my conclusion was, it's possible to portray realistically the way teenager relationships are in the 20th century and the 21st century. Like, teenagers today are having lots of sex out of wedlock. That's a realistic, normal thing. So my debate was, maybe this is trying to make a moral point about that, but my conclusion was it ends up being kind of like a casual, oh, we'll just have sex a little later when we're ready for it, but not when we're married. And I don't like that in teenage romance. I think it sort of undermines the purity and the beauty of romance, which is learning about the other person, learning if they're the person you want to spend your life with. I don't find anything investing narratively in watching people have sex and then split up later and go have sex with someone else. That's not a good story. A good story has a happy ending. Or it's something like My Love Story, which is great, where the two teenagers get together, but then it's all about the difficulties of their romance. It's very genuine, it's very true to earth, and it's very funny. So this was the closest moment to me kind of like thinking about the characters, kind of contemplating the characters. What's that cross mean? Is it just there just for show? I don't know. I don't know what the moral heart of this book is. Now, I gave up when some new dashing boy came in. He's the problem of the week. All right. Here's why I love A.O. Mimori. I found it. So, a girl writes to her and says, at my school, there's a saying that if you write the name of the guy you like on a new eraser and use it up, he'll fall for you. I have Ryonosuke from B.O.D.Y on mine. And so the girl is basically saying she's a high school reader. She has a crush on Ao's character. And so she says, cute, that's so cute. And what she draws Ryonosuke giving her a hug because the girl sent her a photo so she could base it on that. And then she left out part of her name to give her some anonymity. But can you imagine like having a crush on this character and writing a letter to the artist, and the artist draws you next to the character in the book? That's just beautiful. That's like E.C. Cigar drawing Popeye and writing it and sending an original drawing of Popeye to a little boy who sent him a letter, like Mort Walker. Cigar actually did that. So there's just so much love and so much appreciation to her fans and readers in this. A boy writes and says, is it okay for a boy to write you? It's okay to write me letters. I rarely get letters from boys, so I was surprised and happy. Send me another one. She loves her fans. And that's what I love about A.O. Mimori. It's why I'm going to stop reading, because if I read anymore, I'm going to get sick of this and start making fun of her. But she's really sweet. She's really cute. It's a lot of like random, oh, I did this and then I messed up. Oh no, what a silly thing happened to me on my day. But it's all about building rapport with the readers and trying to give the readers a sense that you're a real person. There's a real person behind the manga. And then her answering their fan mail is her chance to show her appreciation to the readers. This is a industry that appreciates its readers. I will spare thee the begone thought punishment I've reserved for other shoujo manga, but goodbye, B.O.D.Y. I can't read anymore. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell to receive notifications. Check out my subscribe star. Sex is for marriage. You too. Catch you later.